Why don't we start with defining the average temperature in a hospital, which is done like this. So please raise your hands if you are a co-founder or an employee in a startup. I am. Whoa, quite many of those. All right, please raise your hand if you are an investor or represent some investors. All right. If you are in a startup and investor. What else? Policymaker? Estonian Inventor Association. All right, so we have quite a bunch of startups, few investors here. What else? Ecosystem creators, policymakers, policy implementers. Please raise your hands. And is there anybody whose family member is in a startup and you don't see a person at all? Okay. Yeah, that's not something you're really proud of, are you? I mean, all right. So my name is Oscar. I'm going to be a moderator for today's panel about the investment attraction. So I would like to welcome all the panelists, and we'll start with Giedrius. I will not dare to pronounce your family name, if that's okay. Giedrius is from Lithuania, as you've probably, guessed from the name. Giedrius is running a startup for 4 years now, having some sales, and still, has been able to survive. So it's please take your seat.
Thank you.
Jordan from Oslo International Hub, the managing director of Business Angel Network in Norway. Nice to have you here. Please take your seat.
Thank you.
Hakan Martin is here with us today. He represents investors. He looks like an investor, doesn't he?
Thank you.
I mean, I've been to several investors with my project. They usually look like you. All right,
okay,
so
thank you.
Please take your seat. My fellow colleague Girts Ozos is here from the company that was actually mentioned by the vice director of RTU in today's first presentation. The company is Alina. It's a startup. It's about building materials and sustainable construction business. So Girts is going to share his insights as well. Karlis Danevich from SEB Bank. Banks are also part of the innovation ecosystem in Latvia, that's for sure. Pleased to have you here. Toby Moore, please. Toby is, I think, one of the few people that has seen so many projects and possible potential investment objects in Latvia. Is it like 400, 500 now?
750.
750. The last time we spoke, it was like 400. So it's like really, that's such a pace. And Ivar from Estonia. Yeah, nice to have you here as well. Estonian Business Angels Network, the president. Sounds like cool. You have cool presidents in Estonia. Do you know that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You knew that. He knew that. That's nice. Estonian Business Angels Network is up and running for 3 years and have invested several millions of euros combined. So we're going to open this panel with Hakan's presentation. It's a few slides, few minutes, like an intro, and then we, go on.
That's good. 10 minutes or something like that?
Yep.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you very much to be invited for this well-organized and nice event. My name is Håkan Martin. I'm a business angel from Norway and Sweden. And where I came from, we have this flag. We call it the Best Coast. The Best Coast flag. Can you guess where that is?
West Coast.
Yeah, where is the Best Coast? Huh? Yeah, but where is the best coast of Sweden and that part? That's from Gothenburg up to Oslo. That's where we have the sunset. So it's a fantastic area, and it's about 2.5 million people live in that area. And that's Volvo land, that's Saab, old Saab land, and so on. So that's where I'm from. I worked with the Wallenberg Group for 5 years as a business development manager around in the world, many M&A transactions and that stuff in Europe. And now I'm active business angel, as I told. I have found a couple of companies. One of the companies was Weibull. I was leading for 20 years. and we have been doing about I have personally been doing 200 transactions during these years. Among these, actually here in Riga. So I have been working together with my friends Einar Schlesser, maybe you have heard about him. And I also work with Alf-Erik Lundgren, maybe you have heard about him as well. Alf-Erik, hi, okay. And then I have started software companies, energy companies. Norges Energi is a quite famous energy company in Norway that is sold to Hafslund. I built up a company, Lek og Sikkerhet, is a playground business. And KSD Software was a software for logistic I built up, and all of them are sold now. So today, we're working, we are 16 private investors that have worked together many, many years, and we don't have any fund. But we say, okay, here is a good opportunity. Who wants to join us on this opportunity? And then say, okay, this is Kalle, this is Einar, and so on. And then we say that this is a team. Then we go into that case. So we operate as a private companies. I also worked close to Jarlsberg Partners. It's very, you maybe know them, Jörn, nanotech accelerator. So if you have cases in nanotechnology and IT, it's also interesting for us. We often work with larger industrial companies because I'm coming from that area. So I'm quite good connected with like Statoil Venture. Have you heard about it? Statoil Venture. IKEA have an own clean tech fund. So we often see if we can join them and be together with them, industrial partners. What kind of companies are we looking for? Yeah, it's SME companies in clean tech business. I can show you a case here, and the case must have some kind of IP, kind of protective, patented technology or something. I can give you an example here. IKEA has invested in this company as well, and here is a company. It's a sun wall that you put in your house, and this is the brightest way to get hot water in your house. So the sun does the job, and 1 of 3 showers you only have to pay for. So 2 of 3 showers every time the sun works for us. So this is actually 2 patents on this sun wall. It's a heating pump and a sun wall, 1 by 2 meters. And now we are launching that. We have been working with that for 5 years. IKEA is with us. There's 15 business angels, and we are launching this now in Norway and Finland. And we are also looking for business partners for this product in the whole Baltic area. So if you know someone that are interested to do the business in Baltic area with this product, you're welcome to contact me. Or if you have complementary products to that kind of products, we're looking for complementary things up on this product specifically. So one thing, they must have an IP. The other one is they must have a growth plan with international potential. Otherwise, we are not interested. We do not go into a restaurant in Riga, Old City, or something like that. Only in international potential companies. I love recurring business. Maybe you have understood, so when I talked about software, all kind of software is recurring business. You know what I mean with that? What is the good with that? What is good with recurring business? I have time. The good with recurring business that you build up a stock of customers, hundreds, thousands of customers, listed companies that you can sell to some when we have the exit. So recurring business is very good business. We are in server halls, green server halls, LED light, battery tech, smart house solutions, as I told, or given an example, and preferable in clusters. So we're looking all the time for a lookalike in Sweden, Norway, Finland, Balticum. If there is a lookalike or complementary product, then we love it. Then we really go in for that. Big cluster, big up, and then we do an exit in like 5-7 years. The criteria for us, it must be a growing macro area, like server halls, smart house solutions, and so on. It must be growing macro area. Timing, the company must have customers today. Must have customers today. It must be proven that any customer had accepted your product. Please, if you don't have any customers, try to get a customer on paper. What I mean with that is go to any customer that you think would be interesting of your product and then make a letter of intent and say, my product is fantastic. If it do that, then you buy 1 million products of me. That's a very good trick to convince investors to buy or invest in your company. Did you understand? Good. We need 34% of the company, together with other co-investors, or alternatively in one kind of shareholder agreement. Normally we invest 1 to 3 million euro, but maybe not directly, but after a development plan where you have shown that you have a success. And now the most important criteria we have, people. And I say, I've been together with many entrepreneurs, but I say better with the successful people with a bad venture concept, as a bad concept, than the opposite. I have seen so many products failure because of the team, the management, the leaders, the guys that should do the things. So we often invest in people, in you. That's good. We can offer intelligent capital. We don't only sit in a board. What we work actually hard with the company. With what? Yeah, like export, cluster building activities, take your companies out in the Nordic countries where we have enormous good network. Clients, distributors, and so on. We are then active work to find additional investors for further growth of the companies. You can believe that when we are in, then we should go to many countries, and that costs a lot of money. And then you need even more investors. We work together with an exit plan and performing exits like 3 to 6 years. Then we want to get out. So that's our mission. We work with the company, active, and then after 6 years, then we leave it to the next partner or even industrial buyers, of course. We can also work with convertible loan in combination with a task force. So that's about what we are doing. And if you want to meet me afterwards, I'm here the whole day. And I think this presentation maybe will be handed out later on. That's maybe a good idea. Yep. So that's what my little pitch of how we are working. And now I'm going to sit down. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, that was impressive. Now you know, right? Okay. All right, so I've been and still I'm on this side, which is startups looking for investors. And I've been in those negotiations with potential investors, and I would like to really understand what is that they expect from the startup and from the innovators. So my question is to Jorn. What do you think, as representing a Business Angels network in Norway? So what do you think? What is that the investors are expecting from innovators?
Well, it's a good question.
I know.
I think Håkan did some of it very, very well, saying what we're looking for. Well, what is an investor? First, what is the Business Angel Network of Norway? I'm a business angel. I've invested 35 startup companies over a number of years. And that basically means the person. That's the most important. Now, in the Business Angel Network, we have 119 business angels throughout Norway, 7 regional units. And so there's a lot. It's quite new. We started organizing this in April, so I cannot speak on behalf of all of 119 yet, because I don't know all of them. But I can speak on behalf of me and some of them. What do I look for? Well, the person is the most important, no question about it. That is sort of the number 1 and number 2 and number 3. Then there's a question of, what do I get for it? Because what is an angel? I take money from my children. I don't give them as much or nice or whatever of something, and I give that money to you. Why should I do that? Right? It's private money. It's my own saved money. This is not an investment fund. It's not nothing. This is normal people that have a little bit extra cash and invest in you. So we really have to believe in it. We have to believe in you, and we have to believe that you will give us more money back than if we invested in other things.
Otherwise, kids would be very sad.
Exactly, exactly.
That's
then
very,
instead
very
they get
emotional.
yeah, well, it's.
So how do you get this feeling? I mean, is it like first interview, like first 5 minutes, and that's clear, or it's more like, you know, deeper analysis, psychoanalysis? What is it?
Well, psychoanalysis not. Due diligence, angels typically don't have time for. Angels are typically private people with a small investment company or something. So it's, yes, it's a lot about first impression. It's a lot about macro trends, that Håkan was saying. It's a lot about this feels right, and it's knowing that you have the good people on the team.
So it's like a gut feeling in the end.
It's for angels, it's more gut feeling, and for big time investors, it's more due diligence.
Thank you. Yep.
As a father, I really doubt that your other businesses are more important than your children. Are you saying that other businesses are more important than your children?
No, but I'm trying to make the point that this is personal money. It's a personal. I really make an investment in you, and if I invest. So it's when you look at the business angel segment, think of the other person, as a father, as a whatever. And it also means, where do you find the angel? Well, probably you passed your angel at the airport yesterday. It's anybody that has a little bit of money, a regular stable job, can be an angel.
Yeah.
You just have to tell them and educate them.
It was
right?
more of provocative, of course, but I'm just trying to question that your motivation behind saying that I'm not giving something to my children and I'm giving you. I'm really more curious. Maybe there is some really deeper motivation for being a business angel.
Well, some angels come at it from a perspective of, I want to make money from you. And, I heard a story yesterday from Tor, that was the last speaker on this scene, of, an angel that said was really hard and actually bankrupted the company because they were fed up. Sharks. Angels can be sharks. But angels need money back. Now, I come at it from the perspective of a serial entrepreneur. I've done a number of startups. So I know what it feels like to be that startupper. I started my first company when I was 16. So I know your situation. That's why when you say 34%, I say 2%. Different perspectives, right? 34%, you have control, whatever. I really believe in you, and I go for 2 or 4%. Hopefully together with some others. But it's different angles at the same time.
And maybe the kids have enough toys, so we can
also
we can just give money to other guys to play with. All right, Toby, you mentioned you've screened 750 projects in Latvia, and probably you've met quite a bunch of those guys. And what is the most common mistakes they do?
Yeah, so slightly broader context. Imprimatur Capital is a early stage technology investor. We're in London, Riga, and Singapore. And we launched a fund here in Latvia 5 years ago. So in that time, we've looked at 750 cases and invested in 50. So that's 1 in 15. And as an early stage investor, it's often pre-revenue. About half of them are spin-outs from universities or research institutes, and then the other half are directly with entrepreneurs. So pre-revenue means they're not yet customers and not yet revenue. So in some cases there are, but in many cases not. So with the beyond the strength of the technology, it's again down to, do we believe what these people are telling us? Do we believe that they can actually do what they're telling us that they can do? And there's some first impression to it, but then there's a process of looking more deeply. What have they done before? Is it relevant experience to what they've done before?
Well, let's take a case. If you see it's a good project, but there are some things those people are making, not in the right way. They're making mistakes. What would those mistakes be?
I think from the first part, it's not fully understanding their target market. And so if they have technology and a product, but we want to know what's the business. So what is the business? Where is it? How are they going to get there? Who are those customers who are willing to pay money for their product? So therefore, what's their value proposition? And it's typically then not having gone through or not being able to go through that process of understanding that really target market and what is the value proposition that's going to convince people to buy and start buying their product.
Is it the case that they are probably so much in love with their technology and the idea itself that they think that everybody would want it? So they haven't really, realistically, analyzed the target market. Is that the case?
No, it's usually just lack of experience of actually being out there and talking to people. So if we as a seed investor start with 50,000 euros or 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros, we encourage the people and the teams to go out to conferences and exhibitions and fairs to talk to people. And there's usually then at that stage some sort of prototype to show and some sort of demonstrator to show. So talk to people, show to people, and collect that feedback. And it might be easy to sit in a lab or to sit in the startup place and write code or build a product. But actually get out and going to talk to people takes some effort. So it's that talking to people and getting the feedback.
Should they somehow make some, evidence of those interviews and those negotiations with potential customers to show to investor or venture capital firm?
So at least to be able to talk about actual cases of actual people they've spoken with, and that's what's the feedback. Now how they present that could be a variety. So whether it's a letter of intent or some other description or a list of people they've spoken with and the feedback, and which then feeds into the product development roadmap of what they need to do next in order to make that technology into commercial product with a certain price attached to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. My next question is to Ivar. Your colleague from Norway's Business Angel Network mentioned the gut feeling is one of the main things. So you've been up and running for 3 years. You've helped Latvian Business Angel Network to start. And so what is it behind, besides the gut feeling, what are probably the rational factors that you consider before investing in the project?
Yeah, maybe some words about Estonian Business Angel Networks. And yes, we are up and running. It's for 3 years. We have more than 100 members, and we act like umbrella organization for all business angels in Estonia and in region. And actually, our help to our companies is to have wider network of co-investors. That's why we working in Nordic Fund initiative together with all Nordics and Latvia, Lithuania. But actually we started our own investment vehicle 8 years ago, and in a way right now we have with my partner we have 12 companies in our portfolio, some clean tech, some very big mix of different type of startups. And I can say that on a way we have done like couple of small exits, but and couple of big bankruptcies, and all these bankruptcies is all about entrepreneurs, and none of them is failed by technology or some other reasons. So actually we each investor looking for different criteria, but last couple of years I spent just a lot of time with entrepreneurs and talking about not only about technology, but try to understand how he or she acts in critical situations, how good sales power they have, because coming from Estonia, then you always is in a fundraising mood, and you always need to find new investors, prove yourself again and again, and this is what we looking for: bright persons with understanding what they're doing.
So, assuming that there is the right person, I mean, you all talk about the human factor. Assuming there is the right person, what are the, I don't know, top 3 answers to your questions that person should have when going to, I don't know, pitch or you know, sitting at a table? What is it that you would ask and you would, you know, expect the person to answer it, like, you know?
Well, I don't have these 3 questions actually. I don't know. This takes time.
Because
what I usually do that when I spend my time with teams, then I start to think about our syndicate, which is a good fit. Usually we invest with 2, 3, 10 people together, and this is my job to collect right set of investors. I try to find the different people from different countries who really can help with some part of the business. So and this, usually I after I have my good feelings, then I show the case to others, and then collectively we decide the first that we start negotiations or going in a next stage. So I really don't know the answer. What is the 3? You know.
Let's talk about a bit if it's shareable. I mean, the inside of the process. So you see the project, you like it. You talk to your other fellow investors. You might be as a syndicate in this case. And then what? Is it some informal thing happening, like getting drunk together with the co-founder? So what is it that, because it's a sort of a marriage in a way. So what, is there any formal part that could be shared with the audience today? Informal parts of it.
Yeah, this is the description is really like you say that sometimes, and this is like magic.
So, okay,
you know,
it's magic. You know,
this is magic because yeah, I mean, in our case, I as president of Estban, I looking for more or less all startups, or 80% in Estonia, some others in Latvia and all over Europe. So, and this is really interesting that how the decision will make kind of group of people, how they, what is the situation when they decide that, okay, let's invest.
Because, you know, when I see, you know, CNN or BBC or whatever, I don't know, Angela Merkel and Barack Obama, you know, giving a sort of, you know, joint speech about some decision, I always wonder how that decision is made. Probably in some sauna or whatever, but not in that room with the cameras. Is that correct? So
yeah.
That was my question, but probably it's not something, I mean, very universal. It's probably case by case. And
yes.
Toby.
Yeah, I was just thinking of your three questions, and perhaps it's less complicated for us because we are a single investor and we're usually the first investor. So if it's top three questions of what do we look for? So someone comes to us with their new product, and we'd like to know, so what's the actual use case for this new product? Okay, so this use case is to transport water from here to here in a container. And then what's the value to the potential customer? So why is this valuable to potential customer? And maybe then in this case it saves me time from getting up and walking out there to the jug of water and filling my glass. So it's something going to save time, reduce costs, increase business or revenue then for the customer, and ideally a combination of all those things. So there's some real value that can be articulated then between the product and the customer. And then thirdly, what's the price? So for them to understand what's the price. And that shows that then the entrepreneur or the CEO has done that sort of background research and explored those three issues. So what's the actual use case? What is the value proposition, and what's the likely price range? And if they struggle to answer those questions, then they're too early and say, okay, well, you need to spend a bit more time and understanding more about your market and your product.
You mentioned you've invested in about 50 projects. So based on your experience, what is assuming that some of those startups already are selling to real customers, hopefully, just my interest, is there any difference in those pricing that they mentioned initially and then afterwards in real life?
Yes.
Is there any, is it like, because usually people tend to be very optimistic, they don't count in the sales channel and all marketing costs and probably all the expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Yes, but then the CEO or the person marketing and selling the product needs to have some sort of base assumption. So based on market research, what are the competitors, how do they price? And then so benchmarking the new product to something out there that people are willing to buy X at this price. But yes, often the product evolves, the market evolves, and therefore the pricing evolves.
All right. Carl is representing one of the biggest banks in Latvia, and not only Latvia. And it's really weird to have, banking people here in a way. But I'm being a bit provocative here. But what do banks have to do with startups? And is there anything you could be, helpful? Because me as a startup, probably the last place I would go is the bank, except for opening the account. So what could you say contrary to my stereotype?
I'm afraid you're definitely partly right, and Ivar said, well, it's magic when it comes to investing in startups. Well, banking is less of a magic, there's no doubt about that. So basically, of course, the perception is different, because if you are an investor, then you kind of can bear in mind that if there will be profits, then those profits will be shared with you as an investor. If there will be losses, those losses will also be shared with you as an investor. But as a bank, you have absolutely different view on kind of granting out loans, because nobody shares the profits with you. If company is very profitable, then profits stay to the owners and to investors. Well, if there are losses, then obviously bank is the one that is taking on losses. And in addition to that, bank is kind of obviously taking care of your money, of deposit holders' money, and therefore the risk view is a bit different than what Toby was saying or Ivar was saying. That being said, of course, bank has a tremendous experience seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I personally also have this experience of more than a decade reading business plans every day, every evening, sitting in a credit committees, deciding, and then kind of living up to my decisions and seeing what actually sort of made it and what didn't make it. And the thing that has been frustrating me for more than a decade is that how much attention in business plans is put to the idea and how little attention is put to the execution. So when it comes to kind of, again, the banker's experience and the banker's advice, that would be, once again, see this with clear eyes and see that it's 98% execution and people around, which was also mentioned, and it's only 2%, probably a bit more, which is kind of idea, not more than that. And then there are a lot of other things that people kind of think that, okay, I will have a fantastic idea and that's it, everything will happen. Well, mostly forget about it. Skype was not the first IP telephony company. Google was not the first search engine. Apple was also not the first one in inventing things really. It was the first one in compiling things and kind of being great at building business case around that. So that's the most widespread myth, and it just pains me to sit in a bank and to see how much time is wasted working only on idea and forgetting about execution. Yeah, and then probably a bit from personal angle, I am as a risk guy and kind of seeing many companies fail and all that. I have been trying in many cases to stop entrepreneurs from doing something stupid, and the ultimate kind of joy that I have in my life is not seeing that many companies are profitable. That's fun as well, but seeing that some entrepreneurs actually say, well, thanks for convincing us not to do this or not to do that. But then again, I also have been mentoring a couple of startups, including some relatives, and they are grateful that they were not listening to my advice fully. So now they are successful companies and are doing fine. So one needs to kind of have a balance to you on that one. But at the end of the day, this is really sort of a very often forgotten thing, and I will just quote Donald Trump. I know he's not the most intelligent guy on earth, but that probably helps him to have some very clear business views occasionally. And one of his business advices is that your best investments in your life would be the ones that you will decide not to make. And again, this is the banking experience and this is investors' experience. That people focus on ideas, people focus on those decisions that they will kind of make, and they try to be irrationally positive, but sometimes it makes sense to open Excel spreadsheet, to be rational, to think about execution, and to decide to abolish the project. And that will be probably the best project of your life. I don't want to sound like a Grinch here, but then again, this is more than a decade of experience also seeing what doesn't work.
Yeah, you sort of stole Christmas here. I mean, it's really painful for me. But anyway, what could a bank do for a startup that has, so much passion and is very eager to start it? And you see, there is no way to convince him or her to stop this. So, what is the bank to do with this case?
Now, sometimes, of course, you need to kind of go along, and if those are serious people and they have a kind of a meal to kill, or they have something to lose, and they are dead serious about it, then obviously you will support them, though you might not fully believe in that. So it's not black or white. As one of my kind of colleagues was saying some time ago, a very experienced risk guy from Scandinavia, that it actually takes some irrational people to see some progress in the world. Because if you would have only rational people like me, probably we would still be living in Africa or Europe. America would never have been discovered. Because again, imagine how many boats were lost on the way and how many lives were lost. But America was discovered, and it would be stupid to say that it's a bad thing that it was discovered. So of course, society needs some irrational moves as well in order to advance things. So no doubt about that. Even bankers understand that.
All right. It seems that you know yourself quite well. That's, I think, a very nice thing. Girts is here with us. And, well, you might think if you're not in a startup, the startup is really cool. It's like a lifestyle, and it is. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of, conferences, visiting customers, and pure joy. But whenever I see Girts sitting in the office, well, joy is not the first word that comes in my mind when I see the person. So could you share a bit of your experience working for several startups and also consulting some others? What is it about, how it is to be in such a venture, and especially in a connection to the investment attraction?
In one word, it's challenging.
No, it's magic.
It's magic.
That's the word.
Something like magic. If I think about clean tech startup, we must understand that this is not an IT application or a product like that. It's a product or technology with a long life cycle. You, in the first months, year, or 2-3 years, can't show revenue traction for investor potential, and you must clearly understand that your performance is based to 2 legs. First one is R&D part, and second one is commercialization. In our cases, first of all, mistakes was that we not split these 2 rows, but combined together. After 2 months, we understand that we must look to these 2 rows parallelly but separately as a teams and financing model. Because of in a Latvia market on local segment, it's in clean tech you can't manage investment in R&D part. It's as a profile you must go outside regionally. You must in a long term think about Horizon 2020 or a mid-term to finish TechS possibilities. And separate this thinking about R&D part, because R&D part in clean tech, it's never-ending story. If after 2-3 years you achieve a million turnover, anyway, R&D will be the first of your segments and legs to be part of market and to take possibility to compete and continue commercialization at all. Commercialization part is interesting in our cases because first of all, team must understand what is the time schedule and resource possibilities to move forward idea on a bootstrapping regime. And only after this, thinking about this part, you can start to draw investment plans and arrange meetings with angels or in investor funds. Yes, and you must be proactive, locally, regionally, globally, because many of funds we achieved, it's not from angels or for funds, it's public competitions. You can achieve at least 5, 10, 20, 50,000, 100,000 euros in this way. If your idea and technology is actually best bar none, at least in the regional level.
How many people are you in a team?
In our team we are 5 people.
5 people. 2 of those are purely scientists. Is that
yes.
correct? So how is it actually working? You I know your background is finance, and you have some management experience. How is it actually to work with the scientists? Can you share a bit? Say only the good part.
For me, it's easy, but it's challenging for marketing persons.
Why?
Because it's other mindset, and of course, marketing also is something about analytics, but it's analytics in a linear way, and scientists it's a more complex mindset.
All right. That's a very politically correct answer. I mean, there are some scientists here in this room, so... Giedrius, I really wonder how are you still alive after 4 years in startup? So could you tell a bit about your journey and the most important turning points or decisions?
Yeah, I can share some common points with Giedrius, and I also have 4 scientists in my team. Yeah, but
4 scientists?
4 scientists, yeah.
Jesus.
2 very nice girls as well.
Okay, that's clear.
Yeah, but maybe a bit about background. You know, I spent, just to understand, I spent last 22 years in Royal Dutch company Philips, and after that I decided to go to develop my own business. So I'm here as, let's say, business angel, as the CEO of the company, and also as a member of the board. So in a way, holy trinity, yeah, but it's very difficult to combine, but we're at that stage when we really need to increase our distribution. And because also, like Giedrius said, we have our own R&D by way financed by EU funding, so it was 50-50. We got a grant from EU to open our own R&D. And we also got investment into the project. So we did the first patent application last year. And actually our focus during the last couple of years was IP protection, technology to protect to protect our idea. Because when we opened the company, I joined after 1 year, and we were importing, how to say, concentrate from UK. We were not happy with the quality, we were not happy with delivery terms, we were not happy at all with anything. So we decided that first we need to invest into R&D, yeah, to have something different. So that's why we decided to open our lab, or to open the lab and to make investment into R&D. Of course, Geerts is right, but you will have to update it. Yeah, you will have to make your patent better and better. But still, we succeeded during 2 years, so we made a very good patent application. And why we think so? Because we already started a negotiation with one of the global player who is interested in the technology. But we don't have patent number yet, but we believe we will get it soon.
Is that your exit strategy, selling the technology?
It depends, yes and no. I would be happy to sell or to make the license and also to produce something for them.
So it depends on the number of toys you can buy.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the best solution. So let's see how it will go. But I would say we are now making the comparison of our products and putting probiotic or live bacteria protected by our technology into their products. So we are doing comparison based on their requirements, so we will see how it will go.
What about the investment part? I believe there have been some rounds, probably several of them. Could you,
yeah, let's say it's very clear. 40% of the company belongs to co-investment fund, Business Angel Fund 1, which is part of Jeremy. Yeah. So this is 40%, and the rest 60% belongs to Business Angels. So. And 10% belongs to me. So actually,
the majority went away.
Those 6 business angels are more or less have equally 10% of the shares. But we are happy. We were lucky. As I said, we got more than 500,000 investment into R&D and into lab. It's actually around 700k euros. We got finance from EU funds, and also we got one loan. Guaranteed by Invega, or a part of ACME, if you know, it's European Guarantees Organization, so you can get the credit guaranteed by them.
If we look at the share structure, it turns out that you gave away the most of the company. How do you feel? Do you still feel like an owner and the founder, or it's more like an employee employed by somebody?
As I said, I'm in 3 chairs, yeah. So and this is in a way not good for the company, yeah. But as I said. Now, the most important is to sell the products we have and also to add this technology to the new products. So it's why my expertise are in sales and marketing. So it's why 1 year ago I left Philips, yeah, and I joined that company as investor. So I joined the company, let's say, as an employee to make this progress. So let's say we are increasing now our sales rapidly, and we are entering now Latvian market. We have partner in US, and we have discussing with many countries, let's say, such as Canada, Norway. So we are now in negotiations with a lot of partners. But for that, you need another raise of the money, because again, R&D is a cost center. Yeah, okay, it's possible to get profit. We are thinking how to employ the lab, not only for our R&D part, but also to make the lab a profitable organization, because for sure that's 2 legs. R&D is 1 leg, and sales and marketing organization is the 2nd leg. So, but we need now extra investment because we have to increase our capacity, production capacity, and we have to meet the standards which we need for a company.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. My next question goes to Toby and Hakan. I believe you somehow co-manage, sit in the boards or advisory boards in the projects you've invested in. So could you share some experiences and some stuff from the everyday life in managing or co-managing those startups? Toby, could you?
About board?
Yeah, I mean, you invest, some significant funds, and probably then you are part of the advisory board or somehow overlooking that company. Is that correct?
Yeah, so usually we start with the convertible loan, at which point we don't have a seat on the then board or supervisory board. And then once the loan converts into shares, and then we're a shareholder, or the fund is a shareholder, so then we have a seat on the board. So in that case, there are 9 out of 50 the fund is a shareholder. And then most of the others, it's either still a convertible loan, not yet converted, or a loan. So then we put most of our effort into those where the fund is a shareholder. So then we have a seat on the board. There are monthly board meetings, which is following progress. But in between times, there are other questions that come up, like we're trying to get to someone in London, so can I help with an introduction to so and so in London, or in Berlin, or New York, or somewhere? Or we're starting to do our next fundraising. Who could we suggest as potential investors, 20 or 30, to approach with the pitch deck, and then how to polish in good English the pitch deck on going out to 20 or 30 investors or VC funds. So there's always things that come up in between, and then the board is some more formal structure, which I think is good discipline then for the team to focus on that regular sort of cycle of progress.
I believe that besides the joy of the meeting the person once in a month, there are some conflicts and challenges also happening. What would be the most typical sort of areas of conflicts or disagreements between investor and the founders?
So once we're an investor and the business is up and running, so the product they're out in the market, there's revenue, and then there's always the question of business development strategy. So there's the MVP, which is out in the market, and then the feedback comes in and say, all right, so we need to develop this product further into version 2 or version 3. And then we have 4 opportunities to go this way or this way. So one might be geography. Should we focus on Europe before going to US, or should we go straight to US, or we have a potential customer in South Korea, should we do something there? So there's some geographical question on business development strategy, and then it's product development, business development strategy questions. So then the big discussions around there, because it's with limited resources and time to market, so where should really the emphasis be in then developing the business most cost efficiently and quickly? And so there are different understandings of that sort of business development strategy question.
How can the
it's about much the same as. In addition, we always try to have an active role in the company, in export or in buying some other competitor or complementary business or cluster. We are focused on cluster building, so we are often working with partners doing that work. But one thing is to avoid this with conflicts and so on. I think actually a good advice is not to jump into an investor environment directly, like you was telling the secret trick on getting drunk together or something on a pub. But use the time. Maybe month, maybe years before you jump into this marriage, because it's a marriage. And if you understand each other very, very solid and very good, then you have a good chance to avoid all these conflicts and potential conflict. Write down a business plan. What are we going to do next 100 days? Very, very clear, so you know what to do. And then you avoid all these conflicts. And how to get an exit out of this company. We know that you're in here for 5-6 years. Okay, how do we do this exit? Start with that discussion. If I invest 1 million euro in you, how can we get out? Start with that discussion as an hypothesis to discuss. How can I come out? That's a very good exercise, actually, to start with. So use your time. It's a marriage. If you have too short of time, maybe you should wait a little bit more.
It sounds like you could be a good marriage consultant. you take your wife, you bring up all the questions that could have, potentially have a, to be a cause of a conflict, and you just write a 100 days plan, and easy. So, that's like a takeaway from today's. We have a question or comment. Could we have a mic here? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jan Simanowska, eco-design expert. I'm really glad to hear that you are ready to invest in green products, but how do you check in advance that the products proposed are really greens? So what are your tools that you make sure that you don't invest anything green, which later turns
into
not
casino? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what happens mostly. Okay, thank you. So probably investors could be, Toby.
Yeah, I could take it. So we don't focus particularly on green technology, but and I'd also say that green and clean technology is a very broad describer. So we're looking at where's the business value, and if the business value is reducing the use of resources, consumption of resources in a certain case, and then there's value for that, then that might make sense for that particular business. So if it's a regulated industry, which requires some sort of certification that something works in a certain way, that it's either safe or it's going to perform something inside the body, and then it needs certification. So if it needs certification, then that is quite a clear requirement. But more broadly, if it's not regulated and someone is proposing this is a good business because it's green, well, it doesn't really say very much. So it's a good business because, and then why is it a good business? And then if it's about resource efficiency, energy efficiency, that's great.
Dirts has some comments on this as well.
This green issue is interesting in our case because we have only 8 months history, and our product and technology is absolutely green. For one side, but our main competitors, biggest chemical companies who produce toxic biocides and heavy metal additives for applications like building materials, biopolymers, and products like that, to find us after 4 months after our funding. And say, good idea. Let's sign R&D, NDA, and let's move forward. It's always a question in which position you would like to be after 2 and 3 years in the future.
So it's like clearly knowing who you are and what you want to be in the upcoming future.
Absolutely. In this green tech segment at all.
So it's sort of a question of identity in a way. It's
Yes.
like understanding who you want to be. And that sounds good. Carlos has some addition to
I
this.
just wanted to add, if you compare this part of the world with Scandinavia and Germany, where we are very present when it comes to lending, the surprising thing is how many low-hanging fruits there still are when it comes to green investments. And we quite occasionally complain that, well, the investment climate in Latvia is quite subdued, and companies, even the established ones and the ones that have good cash flows, are not investing. And sometimes it's shocking for us as bankers to see that the repayment horizon is 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years, and still you don't do this, still you don't invest. The typical thing with light bulbs, the repayment horizon for most of the companies is within 1 year, and they're complaining that banks are not paying more than 0% on their residual cash amounts, yet they are not investing in something that provides 100% return or 30% return. So this is kind of a message to everyone that has a cash flow: look at your efficiencies and invest, and it really, the payback horizon usually is very short one, surprisingly short one still.
And one more important issue is market and market policy, because if our product, actually our technology is about substitute toxic biocides and heavy metal usage in building materials, paints, biopolymers, and materials like that. But for example, in US, you could receive back approximately 85% from tax in green buildings. In Sweden, approximately, as I know, 60%. In Latvia, 0%. In Poland, 10%. It depends for a market and how you could move forward with your green product, and how market policy react to your product.
Thank you for this comment. Pauls has some question.
Yes, so I'm Pauls from Deep Space Industries Latvia. A little bit provocative question to all the panel
You're very
members.
provocative today.
Yes, I feel in the mood. Is there really any value, added value for IDEA having a green aspect? Because from everything that all the speakers are telling, it all just looks like the idea has to be with a good business case, with a good added value to the customers. Is there any value that IDEA has a green aspect? Because, well, I don't see it so far.
We don't see it so far. So who's the one answering this?
I think Håkan said some of it, because then you're in scope. It has to be, you have to be on a macro trend. We think that this industry will grow. So if you're green in any way, shape, or form, most green things are on the right trend.
Yeah, absolutely, that's right. If you're in the green business, then you have a larger opportunity to make a good exit, because it's all over in the media. Where are you green? For instance, like companies like IKEA, they can never ever go without being green anymore. All over it's green business, green, taking care of the world and so on. Maybe not for you and me, but for our kids. They choose not to go to IKEA if they are not green. So that's an answer. You have to be where the macro trend are.
And I need to add, I just came back from Biotech Japan, where I was presenting my technology, and it was research done in Japan, but kids which were overprotected from bad bacteria, from germs, cleaning by chemicals, the immune system is very weak, and even women cannot get pregnant, right? Because if we would clean our environment with natural products, that would not be the case. So that's why we have to think about not ourselves anymore, but about the kids. And this is the products we produce. Yeah? So
I think the answer
a different approach.
The answer is like it should be green, greenish, definitely not ungreen, in a way. What is ungreen? Like black, or what's the color? What's the opposite for green? I don't know. But we have a.
So just a short one. So green is sort of a convenient label during your 30-second elevator pitch to get to the further discussion. So it helps to frame that initial discussion that, okay, so that's where you are. But once you get into the deeper discussion, it's more about the business value.
It's like, show me the money.
Yeah,
right?
so, you know, I'm not...
Because my kids are waiting for the money, sorry.
I'm not in health tech or ed tech or ad tech or cybersecurity. I'm in green tech. Okay, so you're in green tech. So let's talk more about what you're doing.
It's like an entry strategy for the negotiations with the investor.
Yeah.
We have a question here.
My name is Alexey Vesel, and I'm from EUNetwork.lv. Actually, I've got a very brief question. Is it possible to attract green investments for a green project that is, for example, partly Baltic or Scandinavian and partly from Middle Asia? So
does the geography somehow...
matter? If it's a really international project.
Yeah. Is this as a criteria? I mean...
Happy to start. I run International House in Oslo, so maybe it's a question for me. I don't care where it's from. Couldn't care less. I just want to know if I can make money in it. Now, that's the short answer. The longer answer is it's more difficult to get to know the people. It's more difficult to know that your team works well together. So there are a few more questions. But in principle, if it's a good business, it's good business.
Toby?
So the international aspect, or the international question has several aspects. So one is where's the actual team? And are they in one of those countries you mentioned or in several? And where's the target market? So is that in those countries? So are you talking about the target market, or are you talking about where the core team sits? Because from an investor's point of view, particularly at an early stage, they like to be fairly close to the core team to just keep in touch with what's going on. So where is your core team? In which country or which city?
For example, target market, should it be like Baltic states in Scandinavia, or it could be Eastern market?
The question is about target market.
Yeah, so target market is a, I think that's generally open.
Ivar, based on your experience, you mentioned that about 80% of projects that you see is from Estonia, and then the rest is probably Latvian or some others.
Yeah. Definitely, this is very, very good to have some part of the team in target market in US, in Germany, or in Asia. This is super good. We really like it, and yeah, as angel investors, this is more common to work closer with entrepreneurs, and in our case, for example, we have a couple of companies which relocate the headquarters to London and to Silicon Valley. This is the only way how to work from our corner of the planet. So very good.
It turns out the planet has corners. Well, another takeaway from today. We have time for one last provocative question. Yeah, we have one. Provocative? Not so much?
Hello, my name is Simon. I'm from Media Greenhouse. That second last question I was asked that was already provocative. The answer that comes to that just still leaves this big open gap of what are we for here today? Real green innovation, sustainability, and moving forward on a very very sensitive topic. I understand you have a business to drive and a profit to make. That is the initial what investing is. But it feels somewhat as if the core drive is only to make the profit. But if I'm involved in talking to many other startups and entrepreneurs, and usually the core value is the customers, and really think of the customer first.
Excuse me. And the question is.
Yeah, but I'm missing the real green innovation drive. Where does that lie with you?
Deep inside, probably. Not really sure. Carlos?
No, I might start. At least my experience tells me that you are definitely right. If companies set up only for a purpose to make money, then probably you will not have this inner motivation. Again, if you look at most of the successful people, again, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, etc., their inner motivation doesn't come from making money. But then again, it can't be in a contradiction with making money either, because then it's not financially sustainable. Then sooner or later you create trouble for you, for your family, and for many others. So it can't be in contradiction with making money. But I agree, it can't be the main motivator either.
All right, thank you for this rather philosophic question. This is something we have to think about. So before my last question to panelists, I want to sum up this today's discussion, and I think it's a few keywords we have to remember from today. So as we probably knew it before, investors and inventors, it's a lot about gut feeling and magic. If the inventor or the startup goes to the investor, they should know the use case of their technology, what's the value for the potential customers, and what could be the price level. From a startup's perspective, especially if we talk about knowledge-intensive startups, there's at least two legs that they're standing on as R&D and commercialization part. And people responsible for those two legs are mentally very different, and it's a challenge to sort of make the team work. And I think it was a very good opening thing we had about taking some money away from my kids and then bringing it back, more money, more toys, more fun. I think it's very human to think like that, and let's be honest, and greed is good in a way. So my last question, and I would like you to be kind of open and very, very short. The funniest or the most awkward place you've met a future partner? I mean, if you're a startup, then the investor, and vice versa. Most awkward or funniest or happening place or venue or what?
Not in business, but maybe my wife.
Right, let's
I'm there again.
Let's skip this one. The business part.
Yeah, it has been so many. So
many. Choose the best one.
Yeah, I drop it over to Jörn.
All right, I got one. Oslo is a very, very cool place to be the middle week of October, Oslo Innovation Week. 2-3 years ago, I had organized an evening event, and very late in the evening, completely knackered, up comes a Dutch guy, and he wants to talk. And it turns out that this guy is doing some very fancy computers in electrical heating, nerdalize, whatever stuff. And 2 days later, we're in business, and I'm heading his crowdfunding board.
So Oslo Innovation Week.
Oslo Innovation Week, that's the place to come, and I think some of the organizers here are making it possible. So, yeah, late night.
Yeah, you can see. I always like to combine business with leisure, if it's possible. Usually it is possible. So in my way, it was other way around. We combined leisure with business. We were with a friend in a fishing boat, and when he somehow talked about this idea with cleaning products with probiotics, and when I said, you need an expert from sales and marketing, and a week later he convinced me to join as a business angel.
Oh, nice. Good.
Once I met my angel investor in a kids dancing concert. I met him before, but I have no idea that he's angel.
All right, that was the part where the kids after the concert got to know there's no money left because it's all invested. Carlos?
Probably the most strange startup guy that I happen to know is a person whom I hired for the bank as credit analyst, and he was the most conservative guy on planet. Believe me, we struggled with him from that angle. And then he became an entrepreneur, and he was actually 100% the other way around, and that was his major failure. On first two of the startups he failed, but now he's doing better and better.
So we could say the bank changed the person. That's interesting, in a way. Toby?
Yeah, so there was a nice case two years ago, and celebrating Midsummer, which is next week, celebrating Midsummer and a nice bonfire and jumping through the flames. So I was first, and he was second, and after we'd jumped through the fire together and started talking, and then it seemed that, okay, that's one type of fire to jump through together, let's then jump through another type of fire.
Yeah, so it's a very magical night, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ivan?
Yeah, some years ago I have crazy ideas that I wanted to start production of wooden clocks in Estonia because I'm a big fan of wooden clocks, and one lady helps me with first photos from production, and then somehow she's husband came to take kids off, and that's why we met with Rainer Sterfeld. And a couple of months ago, after, he called me that he will leave ABB and start his new venture, Planet OS, and invited me to invest. And after first meeting, like we with my partner, we said, okay, nothing to do, this is our money, and good luck in US. So this is kind of funny story how we met.
All right. I think our panelists deserve a big round of applause here. Thank you. And thanks to the very active and provocative audience, it turns out it was nice to have you here as well.